Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Tribe of Unicorns. I'm your host, Kendra Beavis, and today I have in the studio Andrea Lee Rogers. I am so excited for you to meet her. She is an incredibly successful female founder, a mama of two, and just a beautiful beacon of light. She's an expert at balancing life and wellness and the buckets that we all need to fill as female entrepreneurs. So grab a cup of coffee and get ready to be inspired.
Hey, Andrea, how are you today?
I'm so happy to be here, Kendra. Thank you so much. Good to talk to you. Always good to talk with you.
Same, same. So, where are you right now?
I'm in Dallas. I'm at home. It's really odd for me to be home this long, but I've been home for, I think, 5 weeks now, which is the longest run I've had to be home. And it feels really good, to be honest. I love it.
Oh,
It's been
I love
nice.
that. Well, that's good. So, you and I met about 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a minute.
But it's been a minute. Yeah. It probably has been at least 5 years, I would think, right?
Yeah, because you said we launched your brand, your personal brand in 2020, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right before the whole world went crazy.
Not
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Yeah.
did. That was a fun project.
Yes, I thought you'd be a perfect fit for the Tribe of Unicorns audience because we are a lot of women entrepreneurs. And I think your story is so inspirational and what you've been able to achieve is absolutely incredible. I know you had a very large passion for dance when you were a little girl. Is that right?
Yeah. So my passion for movement started when I was 3 years old. So I started dancing at the age of 3, fell in love with the whole the whole showmanship, the performance element, the training aspect, the level of competition. There's just something innately there when I felt, when I danced. I just felt this lovely connection to mind, body, movement, music, choreography, all the things. So I started dancing when I was 3. I continued that through most of my adult life. I started teaching when I was really young, started teaching the little peewee classes. And then that segued into my love of movement that eventually led me to start Xtend Barre. And yeah, so movement has been just a core part of my life from, my youngest years.
When you were younger, how did you envision taking that passion for dance into your career path? What did that look like to you then?
I wasn't sure, honestly, Kendra. I didn't know how, I didn't, grow up dancing thinking I'm going to turn this into a business. I grew up dancing thinking I want to be on stage. I want to perform. I love that high I get when I'm on, in front of the lights and feeling that energy of the group and the people around me. That's all I knew. It was an addiction, right? Just that high that you get from performing. And I knew I wanted to continue to find that way of feeling that high throughout my life. It wasn't until I got older, graduating from college, I was still a baby, that I realized, okay, now I think I have to get a real job because that's what you do. That's the expectation. And sitting behind the desk was just, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. It just made me feel restricted, confined. It like sucked all the oxygen out of my lungs. And I knew very quickly after 6 weeks of being at that job that it wasn't for me. And I had to get back into movement. And that's when I decided to segue my love of movement, kinesiology, and dance into a Pilates career. And that's what I did. I went back and I got certified in classical Pilates. I did a comprehensive training, took a year to learn the technique and really submerge myself into the practice of Pilates, both as a student, a practitioner, and then as an instructor and coach. And then I just realized how much I love to teach. And I got a high from teaching classes. I got that same high of watching people in the class respond to movement and watching women in particular just feel empowered and see this level of confidence happening class after class after class and seeing real life changes happen. And it really transcended beyond the four walls of the studio and into their lives. And that is what then I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. This is what I'm supposed to do.
I love so much about what you've done because you didn't just say, okay, well, I'm going to build a Pilates studio. You really built your own method of how to do this. What gave you the courage and motivation to be able to take that step?
You know what? Again, it was all organic. I didn't set out to say I'm going to create my own technique and have it all over the world. It was really, I loved what I did. I love Pilates. I love the scientific approach of it, but I also knew that I wanted to marry in everything that I've learned my whole life with dance. And I felt in the industry, I'd taken a lot of other bar classes and they were lacking for me and what I wanted as a student in that class. I wanted to have more big movement. I wanted to have full range of motion. I wanted to focus on mobility. I really wanted to teach my clients how to optimize their movement, how to take it into a functional approach so that they were taking everything they learned in the studio and taking it out. And then I also wanted to add a little more dance to it. Like I wanted to be a little more fun and upbeat
Yeah.
and like green, and not so restrictive. And I feel like if you enjoy your workout, you're 10 times more likely to stay consistent with it, and that equals results. So I want to just have a little bit more upbeat. And so that's what I did. I approached the studio owner at this small studio in South Florida. It was called Pulse Pilates. And I said, hey, I've taken a lot of bar classes. I think I can do it differently, and I really want to have a go at it. And she said, great, let's put it on the schedule. And so I took time to develop the repertoire, classes launched, and we had wait list. And it was like, oh, wow. Okay, we're onto something here. We were really one of the first in South Florida to do bar classes. And that's it. It just took off and people started to enjoy it. I decided to step back and take the time to really develop the course plan and the repertoire and create a certification program. And then everything just kind of snowballed in a beautiful way from there.
Did you find there was a large learning curve with going from where you were to then becoming a brand owner and really looking for funding and all of that? I mean, what was that process like?
The very early stages is that founder stage is the sweet spot for me specifically. I am in that founder zone. It's like the ideas just flow. I can't sleep. I'm writing it down. I'm working 24/7. I'm researching and just gathering as much data as possible and surrounding myself with as many experts in the field as possible to learn. And that's just the best. It's exciting, it's exhilarating, it's exhausting. And I love that founder's sweet spot, that initial stage. Then life gets real. then things start to happen, right? And you're like, okay, I have this business and now I have franchisees. What? And I'm responsible for their livelihood. And it gets real quick. And that's where you start to learn, your strengths and your weaknesses. And that's where you start to understand that lovely non-linear line of success, right? Where you're
Yeah.
up and you're up and you're down. You're like, great, I just signed this big deal. And then the next day you're like, oh, I just had to close the studio, and there's this dichotomy of wins and losses that builds the character, builds your resilience, and also builds the direction that you want to take your company, and I had to take some, many forks in the road, and I had to, what I call push turn, which is basically a pivot, many times where I'm like, okay, I got to push and turn the other way and figure this out. It was certainly not just this easy, as I use the term snowball, it wasn't this like beautiful, massive growth and everything just blossomed. It was, it,
Yeah.
it was a challenge.
Yeah, I've experienced that in my own business where I think I'm going in this direction. And then through some of those challenges and those ups and downs, I realized it's actually not the right direction. And P.S., I don't even like what's happening over here. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's always kind of eye-opening when you think you want something and then you get there and all of a sudden you're like, actually, I don't like this at all. Have you had to kind of
That's
face that?
I think that's a very big topic to talk about because often we view that as a failure,
Yeah.
right? And then nobody wants to fail. They don't want that on their record, on their heart, right? It's just like, I don't want to be responsible for owning that.
And we're
And
not
so
allowed to change our minds.
that's what I mean. Yes. And especially in business, it's like, oh, you did that. It didn't work out, but you better keep going at it until you make it work. Otherwise you didn't make it. And so I had moments of certainly, and it's still, of looking back and go, oh God, that was a mistake, or I wish I would have done that, or wrong partner, wrong time. So many different lessons along the way. But I did learn very quickly that if I was going to continue to be happy in my life and happy in my career, I needed to let go of those losses and learn how to, as I said, push turn and move into a different direction. And as defeating as it can feel, you need to just like, put your big girl panties on and, I always say chin up, toes pointed like, and move on. And I had to certainly have many times in my career where we had to do that, changing direction and franchising model to licensing model, building a studio in South Florida and then realizing 5 years later, my life was changing. I was going through divorce. I'm moving to New York and had to sell that business. And, certainly didn't set out that way 5 years before, but I had to accept those changes. And it eventually got me to a point where I am now, which is doing the things that I love to do most. Right. And maybe the business didn't scale in the same way that I envisioned it did, 10 years ago, but it's in a spot where I feel very successful because I measure success in a different way now.
That was one of my questions I was going to ask you, because I think it's funny when you're younger, especially when you're starting something new, whatever your age and your definition of success at that moment versus where you are today. I mean, your life changes, everything influences that. What is your definition of success now?
Yeah, it's funny. I was just reading a quote about this the other day, and it made me pause to figure out what that definition meant to me. And I did. I was giving it some thought, and it's not a quick answer, but in short, to summarize it, I would say that success to me is being able to, number one, move in your career. Let's talk about career, right? In your
Sure.
career is to do what you feel proud of, right? So for me, it is combining pride and purpose. So I feel like my purpose in life is to really connect with women, not just through movement, but through, empowering ways and do what I can do to help women feel confident, to be able to help them to do the things they need to do in life to excel in their life and support and empower, as I said, as in every way possible. So that's my purpose. And then if I can do that with pride, I do it with integrity, and I can do it in a way that feels good and balanced in my life. So I can be a good mother, right? I can be a good partner in life. I can be a good daughter and do all the other things that I need to do. That is winning for me. So it's that purpose and pride combination where I'm like, okay, I'm doing what I feel like I'm meant to do. I'm giving back in a good way. I'm making a positive impact in lives. And I feel like I'm doing it in a way that I would be proud of myself and my mother would be proud of me. And she is. And my daughters would be proud of me. So that, and I put my head on the pillow at night and I feel good about what I'm doing, so that's my definition.
I 100% agree. And I think, showing your daughters how you're able to have a career that is on your terms, that allows
Right.
you to be everything that you want to be to everyone that's important in your life. And I think creating what I see from your career is you've been able to create something that fuels your life rather than hold you to a certain box. And I love the
Oh, yeah.
courage you've had to push open that box and make it something that nobody's really seen before, and not be afraid to kind of redefine how you're going to do business. I absolutely admire that.
I appreciate that. And I do think it has shown my girls real life because I'm not always there, right? Like there are times that I miss events and I explain to them and they know. But because I am my own boss and I do dictate my own schedule, it's beautiful because I have so much flexibility. I am there most of the time, right? But it also shows them, I work hard. I play hard, and I live fully. I try to live full out, and they see that. And they understand that there's many different parts and many different roles as a woman that we play. They already know that. They already can pick up on that just by, exposing them to the world of everything that we're doing in the career, and then having them see how we are as moms and partners and significant others and friends as well is really important. They need to see that so that they understand that my whole world is not just giving to them. That's part of it, but it's not the whole thing.
Right.
And I want them as someday as mothers to do the same thing and to not have any of that mom guilt, and to be able to know that life is a balance and you're never going to be that perfect person in every hat that you have on, but you got to learn how to change those hats quickly and effectively and be present when you're wearing each one.
I I I want to ask this question, and I know it's kind of weird, but why are you speaking to women specifically? Like, what about that do you feel is important? Or yeah, why is that important to you?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever asked me that, Kendra. That's a good question.
Because I asked myself that question because I feel the same pull. And
Thanks.
I'm always trying to figure out, because people will say to me, like, if you're only focusing on women, you're cutting your audience down in half.
I hear that all the time, and that's okay. That's okay for the audience in half because, again, it goes back to purpose
Yeah.
and not just trying to be all for all. and do all for all. I feel like my niche and what I do really well in my life is connect to other women. And I am a girl's girl.
Yeah.
I am that girl that if I meet you and you tell me about your business, the next day I'm going to follow up and be like, tell me more. What can I do to help you? And I love surrounding myself with other powerful and empowering women, right? I love to be around strong women that have big goals. And I also like to share all of that knowledge of my little tribe that I have with other people. I think one of my favorite things to do, we have webinars every week with our Facebook group page and just hearing the stories. I mean, talk about filling your bucket. It gives back to me. And I don't know exactly why. I don't know why it wouldn't give back to me if men were doing it potentially. But I think it's because I created a workout that naturally invited women to the table, right? A bar workout based on dance and Pilates, naturally women gravitated towards it. And so from 2008, when I started the program, I've been working with primarily women. And so I've had a career built on, working with women.
I think also oftentimes women have a unique set of challenges that potentially men don't always see or experience.
Very different.
Yeah.
Very
Uh,
different.
I also wanted to ask you about your social feed is so beautiful. And how did you come to
Lacking there.
well, but it doesn't look like what other people do, right? Like it's very much you. I very much get your personality. I feel connected to you watching your videos, even when we haven't spoken in a bit. How did you come to find your kind of sweet spot with what you're sharing on social?
I just wanted to be as authentic as possible. And that means not posting. Like if I'm not in the mood to post or I'm not in the mood to do it, I don't go on and go, oh my God, I got to do this because my algorithm is, I just don't.
Yes.
So I mean, I probably should, but I don't. I just try to stay really authentic. And when I feel like chatting, I'm on there. Stories are more relatable to me when I'm talking to everybody. I'm thinking about the women that I know that are watching. And, I should be posting more, should be doing more in social. It's a love-hate relationship. What I love the most is the DMs and the connections that I've made through social media. It's been incredibly surprising and a powerful tool for networking.
Yeah.
But it's also, again, those little highs that I get. I had a few weeks ago, I had a woman that messaged me, DM me, and she shared, Andrea, I did it. We've been talking for like 2 years. Never met. Well, met through one of our body events, but like we're not friends in that way, like a real life experience, but we're friends on social. And she finally met her goal of losing 100 pounds. And so I posted it to social, and then 3 more people shared with me that through our programs, they've lost 100 pounds recently. One 150, another one 125. And so I did this webinar featuring some of them. And it was just, again, incredibly powerful because you don't know your reach sometimes. And something as simple as smiling at someone at the grocery store or holding a door open for somebody when somebody's maybe having a really shitty day, that little act of kindness, or giving someone a compliment, which I teach my girls to do authentically on a regular basis. Notice people, look them in the eye when you say please and thank you, like do those little things, or, helping someone to lose 100 pounds, which is a very big thing. All those things I think are what give back. And again, go back into that purpose bucket for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I have a lot of business owners that are just starting out, young women that hate social media, or they're older women who are transitioning and they're kind of trying to figure out where their place is because they're not that TikToker and they're not 20. And so I often will show people your feed because it's very authentic and it feels unforced and not salesy. And it's just a peek into your life. And it feels like I want to inspire over I want to influence, if that makes sense.
Oh, I only share what I love. And that was a rule in the very beginning. Even when I no longer am doing any sponsored deals, I just didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to become an influencer. I want to continue to be an entrepreneur and businesswoman. And so I didn't take on other brands. I don't do that anymore. However, I still share brands that I love,
Yeah.
My matcha, I drink it every single day. I'm addicted to it. And for a while, I was sharing before I even got sponsored. Then they started sending me free product. And then I had a sponsorship deal with them, but I was like, I do this for free. And now I said to them, I don't want to do a sponsorship deal anymore. I literally turned down easy money because I was just like, I don't want to have that. I just don't want to deal with it. But I still post and I still share and I still Julie, it was very important to me that if you come to my page and you buy something that I have promoted, you know damn well that I truly love it, and this is not like I'm getting paid to do it. And now I don't get paid to do any of it. But yeah, I mean, I share the things I love. What advice I would give to someone like that who's coming into social media in a new way, with hesitation perhaps. What engages you when you're on social media? That's what I always look at. I get hundreds of messages a day. You should see my inbox. I can't keep up with it, which is a beautiful thing, but I try my best to answer as many messages as I can a day. I spend about an hour to 2 hours every day just answering DMs. But I see people that tag me and they do let's say they're doing a workout and they do the exact same post every single day. And I want to say to them, your audience is tired. They're sick of seeing that. Like, you need to have some level of surprise and delight. If you're doing the exact same thing every day, it's going to get boring. So think about what you can change it up. Think about what your direct audience wants. I do skincare. I do makeup. I do beauty. I obviously do fitness. I do a lot of mindset, right? And motivation. So I try to pull that all in. And I've had people tell me, Kendra, you have to find your niche. You got to stick to your niche. You'll never grow. I'm like, I don't care if I grow. I care that I engage.
Yeah.
I care that the people on my page trust me and believe in what I'm doing and want to be a part of what I'm doing. So This is who I am, and that's what I show. And I think
it's inspiring women to live their best lives. Like,
that's
niche.
Exactly. That's my niche. Yes. But people say niche down, which I'm a bit too. I do think I'm in business, you got to niche down.
Sure.
And find that category that you really want to be the master of. But yeah, on social, it's kind of like, let's see who you are, because that's what attracts people, not just your business. Do you love to garden? Show how you love to garden. Are you an organizing freak like I am? Show how you love to organize. Like, show the full personality of who you are so people get to know you. And if they get to know you and they like you, they're going to believe in the product that you're also standing behind.
So what's next for you?
So I'm actually back in that entrepreneur founder seat right now. I am developing with some partners, which is very exciting because I've always done business by myself and I love partnerships. So I partner with some amazing individuals and we are launching a tween skincare line. So it's going to be skincare, hair care, body care, tween care. And I have 2 tween daughters. Well, now 1 teen, 1 tween. So the demographic is going to be for 8 to 12-year-olds, boys and girls. And it's going to be empowering them with healthy, clean, necessary products that are going to help them to live their best life. So they're not going to Sephora and buying all this junk that is, killing their skin and their skin barrier. So we're going to be empowering them, not just through products, but through education. So our goal is to really marry that of, okay, you want to buy the product, but let's educate you on how to use it and how to stay healthy internally and externally. So again, passion, and I'm involving my girls, which is really exciting.
That's amazing.
We're going to Finland in July. So we're heading to Finland. That one of our ingredient manufacturers is based there, and I'm taking them with me and we're going to do the whole experience together. And my hope is that they can really understand what it takes to start a business, to build a business, to see it through, to bring it to fruition, and then to scale it and keep them involved in the whole process. So we're excited.
That is incredible. Oh, I'm so excited to see that launch and see what happens next. And just, I really
social media graphics and do all the things. Kendra's the best.
Well, I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show. Oh, one last question.
Yeah.
What advice would you give yourself today that you kind of wish you knew back then when you were younger?
One that I get asked this question often, and it's always this knee-jerk reaction for me. I move quickly. I am a type of person that has very little patience. That's my weakness. And so you know how I am. Like, you write me an email, I'm always on it. I don't hesitate. I don't wait. And lack of patience can sometimes lead to moving too quickly before you actually are ready to go or grow. So if I would give myself advice, I'd look back and say, just allow yourself to be in the moment a little bit longer before you feel like you have to be that next level. And that would be my advice for everybody that wants to, we look at the game of comparison. It's the game of comparison. On social media, let's say you have a bakery. You open your one bakery in your little town. You're like, well, Sarah has 10 bakery shops all over the state. And you think you are failing because you don't have the same as Sarah. you need to just let go of the game of comparison and focus on what you do best. Really master it. Lean into mastery before you lean into, replicating what you have. Really focus on what you do great. Because if you do it great and you do it well, it will naturally start to grow. It will happen when it's meant to happen. That doesn't mean you sit back and just wait. You do have to have tenacity to move things along, but have a little patience. That's what I would say, is lean into your mastery before you start to think about, scaling.
I need that message today.
Oh, yeah. I need to remind myself of this very often. Very often.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we want everything yesterday, right?
Absolutely. You get an idea and then you have that entrepreneur's kind of anxiety about like, but I want to do this. And then there's that. And what about that? And when am I writing the book? And how? Yeah, it's a lot.
It's all of it. It's all of it. I mean, I'm finally doing some goals of mine now, some big bucket goals that I have on my vision board from 10 years ago. So, but I'd still been on my vision board and I still revisit it. And I know that it just wasn't right until now, and I still have more of those that are not going to probably happen for another few years. So yeah, give yourself a little grace.
Well, thank you so, so much, everyone. Go find Andrea on social media. I'll have all of your links in the show notes. And yeah, keep us posted on when the new brand launches. We can't wait to jump in and help our teenage daughters out.
Yes, girl, I love you. I love spending time with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.